Okay, and this is part 2 for measuring matter. In this video, what I'll do is cover conversions, how to convert from one unit to another. So another big thing you'll find in physics class is that you're going to be converting units from non-standard units into standard units. So as an example, a lot of times they'll put time measurements in minutes and hours, and you need to convert that into seconds. Or going from grams to kilograms, kilometers to meters, all the things that you see right here in the right, I'm sorry, in the left. Oops, let me go back for a second. Sorry about that. There we go. So everything that you see right here, these are the most common things that you'll see. Kilometers per hour to meters per second, even miles per hour to meters per second, millimeters to meters. So how do you get back to that base metric unit? So these are some common ones that you'll use a lot in physics. So if you write these somewhere like in the cover of your notebook or on your equation sheet, it's just really nice to have. You might even memorize some of these over time. I know I have just because I use them so often. But if you haven't gotten there yet, that's fine. You can always reference these. These are just really good things to have. Google Converter is a really good, quick thing to use in a pinch, but I wouldn't rely on that because on your exams, you might have to convert it to these units. So make sure you have practice with this. And this is what these slides will go over, is how to do this. So when you do conversions, some people like to use the picket fence approach, some people use the fraction approach. They're both the same type of way, but a different way of displaying it. In essence, do whatever is most comfortable with you. So I'm going to just share with you how I do my conversions. This is my most comfortable method. Even though I have the answer right here, I'm going to do out this problem just to talk you through it. So the problem is saying how many seconds are in 4 minutes. So 4 minutes to seconds. So anytime I start something like this, first what I need to do is make sure I have the conversion factor. How many of these make up one of those? So if you look it up, or if you know it, I'm sure you might know this already, but let's pretend we don't. I looked up the conversion factor of 60 seconds to a minute. Now remember, this is the same amount of time, even though this is represented in different numbers. So 60 seconds is the same amount of time of 1 minute. So I like to think of this kind of like 1 cup is the same as 8 ounces. If you've ever cooked before, or know someone that does, maybe if you don't cook, when you look at that measuring cup, this is my beautiful measuring cup right here. It's pretty cool. They'll have the 1 cup measurement on one side, and then if you flip around to the other side, this is the handle. If you did recognize that, like that. They also have a different measurement and the same markings. Of course, I'm doing it as best as I can here. Just like that. It's the same measurement. So if it's the same amount, if I divide these two numbers, technically it's going to be 1. So 1 cup divided by 8 ounces is the same as me saying 1 divided by 1, which is equal to 1. Now the point I'm making here is if I multiply this by other numbers, it's not going to affect the measurement because we're just changing the units. So the hardest part is deciding what number goes on top or the bottom of my conversion factor. Am I going to write it as 60 over 1 minute or 1 minute over 60? This is the hard part. So this is how you do that. First, what I have to do is write down what I'm starting with, my 4 minutes, like this. And then I'm going to multiply by my conversion factor. So I put the line there. So when I put the line there, what decides which way I put this is decided on what I start with. This always starts on the top of the fraction. Now, if you need a mental image, you could always put the fraction like this. You don't have to. I know personally I don't do this. But if you need to see this, I am definitely taking the minutes on the top part of our fraction here, and that 1 will help you because 1 divided by 4 is the same amount, right here. So with that said, this tells me that if the minutes are on the top, I want to get rid of them. This is because I want to go into seconds, so that means I must put these on the bottom. So what we have here is that minutes cancel out. And then what I do is I take a look at my conversion factor, pretend that I don't have this. I see that the minutes has the number 1 attached. So that's where the 1 goes. It goes with the minute. These are together. which means the 60 seconds goes on top because that's the other side of that. So I double check, my minutes do cancel, and I'm left with what I want. So sometimes I circle it because it just makes me happy to see that's what I want. And then when I do the following mathematics. So I go 4 times 60 and then divide by 1. So since I'm multiplying or dividing, it doesn't matter the order I go in, but usually I stick to the same thing. So 4 times 60 divide by 1. So 4 times 60 divide by 1, that gives us 240, and then it's going to be seconds in the end. So that's my answer, 240 seconds. And that seems about reasonable because there's 60 seconds, and for each 60 seconds, you know, it's a 60 seconds for every minute times 4, 240. So that looks pretty good. And you can see that's exactly what I did here. This is my logic. And then I talk about what I did. So same approach here. I'm going to go way faster though. If I want to go from 4 days to seconds, let me just get a blank page here. 4 days to seconds, you might have to do this conversion. I do the same thing. So I write the days on top times. Okay, the day has to go on the bottom. So I know in one day there are 24 hours. Days go on the bottom to cancel, but I now have it in hours and I don't want that. So I know that in 1 hour there is 60 minutes. So the hours go away because hours cancel hours, but I'm still left with a unit that I don't want yet. I need to get to seconds. So I know that in 1 minute there is 60 seconds. So finally, after these cancel out, I get to the one that I want, seconds. So I will do the following. 4 times 24 divide by 1 times 60 divide by 1 times 60 divide by 1. Now, my shortcut is I'm not going to divide by 1 because it's just the number that you have. So, 1 divided by anything is just itself. So I just multiply across. But I am doing the division when I do this. So when I do this, I get 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 0. I could write this in scientific notation if I want to. Let's round. So let's make this a 6 instead. Sorry for the handwriting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. 3.46. That's a 6. There we go. Sorry for the sloppiness. Times 5 seconds, like that. So I'm doing the same kind of approach. And you can see that's the number I got here. So this one is fun because we have to convert both top and bottom number when we do this. So 32 kilometers. And this is how I write it, per hour, like this. Don't write it like this. I'm going to write it up top here. Oops. Let's do this. Because it's kind of confusing when you write it with the fraction, the slant like this, because then you don't realize, it's hard to see which one's on top and the bottom, and it does matter. So anytime I have to convert two objects, I write them like this. So what you do to convert two objects is get the conversion factors for both of these. So let's do that. And let me I always write down where I'm going because otherwise I get confused. So I need to go from, I keep doing this. Oops, sorry, my fault. There we go. So, apologize for that. Okay, so I know I need to go from meters to kilometers. So I know there's 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. And I know that there are, so let's look these up, there's 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. So I have my conversion factors ready to go, which is really important. Now, it's confusing because you're like, oh no, I got 2. So what you do actually is you start off converting one and ignore the other. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's do this, 32 kilometers over hours. Just like I've done before, I multiply by a conversion factor. And just it doesn't matter which one I start with, hours or kilometers, but just because this one's on top, I'm going to start off with kilometers. We'll do it in blue. So I ignore the hours completely, like I pretend it's not even there. And what I'm going to do is do what I did before. So if kilometers is on top here, kilometers must go on the bottom so that they can cancel. The 1 is attached to the kilometer, so that goes there, which means we have the 1,000 that goes on top. And if you notice, that's what we want. We want the meters on top. So I'm just going to circle this. Sometimes that helps. So kilometers will cancel, meters left. Woohoo! We did that first part. Now hours. Let's do hours. So now I ignore that, and I can just add that in there because since we're multiplying and we can do it in any order, it doesn't matter. So notice here that the hours is on the bottom, which means the hours has to go where? The top or the bottom? Great, you're right. It should be the top. Just like those kid things, right? Okay, so all joking aside, we want to cancel these out. So hours in the bottom, we must have the hours on top. Now, the 1 is attached to the hour, so the 1 goes here, and this whole thing goes on the bottom. And this does matter. And if you notice, the hours cancels hours, and we're left over with what we want, seconds on the bottom. And that's another way you can check. The seconds do end up on the bottom. So now here is where doing the multiplication division matters. So to figure out this problem, I have to multiply 32 times 1,000 divided by 1 times 1 divided by 3,600. So obviously you can skip the ones if the shortcuts are fine, but I am doing it like this. So 32 times, I'm doing this on my calculator right now, 1,000 times, so divide by 1, I'm literally doing this on my calculator, divide by 1, times 1, I'm not taking shortcuts, divide by 3,600. And when you do that, you get 8.8888, so let's round to 89 meters over seconds, meters over seconds. And that is our final answer, like that. So obviously take the shortcuts if you understand them. Always take shortcuts if you understand them. If not, you must go this number times the next number, divide, times the next number, divide, just like that. And then you can see on the slide, it's exactly what I did here. So I wrote it out in words, I showed you in the video, so hopefully these are helpful tools for you. And then you try, I'm not going to have enough time to show you, but if you go from meters per second to miles per hour, you can give it a shot, but I'm doing the same thing. Notice I have meters over seconds. The meters cancel the meters. I have miles on top, which is good. And then the seconds cancel the seconds, and I'm left with hours. And when you do 8.8 times 1, divide by this, times this, divide by that, that's our answer. So I left you with some problems to see if you can figure them out. The answers are in the notes section, so you literally have to escape out and you'll see that the answers, the solutions to these are here. But you could try these out on your own to see if you can follow the approach for the most part. These are all great resources. There are more videos, ones that I haven't done personally, but I found that they're really good if you need some extra help, because sometimes you just need a refresher on how to do this. No shame in trying to relearn some stuff you may have been seen in a while, so all good for you. And that is it. So at this point, we've covered measuring matter and how to convert your units. Best of luck.